us, Rose and Matthew. I've heard that name before. Wow, wow, one of your sisters there, Sharon. We have an esteemed guest on tonight. She's an author, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story tonight. She has a book that's out, and you can purchase that. And I want her to tell us how you can get that book. Very important and powerful book, ladies and gentlemen. And the book is a true story of a single mother who met the man whom she fell in love with and all his faults: alcohol use, drug use, and physical abuse. The man that took her daughter under his wings of his own and educated her on the game of basketball. In addition, and let's see, I lost my thought here. Let's see, the man who took her under her wings and educated her the game of basketball. In addition, accepted her as his own. The man gave her the nickname Champ. The daughter he always wanted and treated her with nothing short of his own, as his own. I found myself slowly, unknowingly sinking deeper into losing my self esteem, losing my self worth, and eventually losing my self identity. The story will take you on an unfortunate, familiar journey to some. It takes you on my experience of high hopes and dreams that continuously are shattered to be built with bricks of fabrication that never come to pass. Welcome to the set, our sister, Sister Sharon Pitts. Welcome, Sister Pitts.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. I want you to meet before we get into your story. No one tells your story better than you can. We're going to introduce one of your sisters, Tiffany Hilliard. She's on the panel. She's one of our regular panelists. We may have another sister, Tanisha Holmes, that will join us as well. Brother Robert Hicks, a groove from the Northern Virginia chapter, and my brother, Clayton Brown, my biological brother and also groove brother. And he's the president of the Virginia State Virtual Chapter. I believe that's correct. Is that correct, Clayton?
That is correct.
That is
Greetings,
correct.
sister.
Yes.
Hello, Tiffany.
Hi, hola sis, how are you?
Yes.
Hola.
Well, I
Hello, my
sent you
brother
guys.
Robert.
Yes, Robert, how are you, brother?
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm
Great, great.
really interested in hearing your stories, Sister Pitts, definitely. From reading the biography, I am dialed in. And thank you. And also, Tiffany and Clayton, thank you for being here. WB, pleasure to be here as always.
Always, always, always. And I want to start with you, Sister Pitts, and tell us a little bit about your story. What motivated you? Well, we have an idea what motivated you to write it, but also tell us about that and how did you escape from it? But I want you to start from the beginning and tell us everything that you want us to know.
Well, again, thank you for having me. And I do want to recognize, I believe you guys are coming up on your 10th anniversary. I think it's December 31st. So I want to recognize that. And again, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure.
Um,
Our pleasure.
I'm a native from Bridgeton, New Jersey. I graduated from Salem High, and I became a teen. I was pregnant in my teens, and I had my daughter. Um, and again, I'm raised in a was raised in a two-family home, a very large home, and a very nice area. Um, church going, the whole 9 yards, and just fell into, I kind of put the cart before the horse. So I started out a little rough, and then it's funny how you can be raised in a two-family home. Never seen my dad raise his voice. They never fought, argued. My dad was the working part, the working person of the family. My mom didn't have to work. So it kind of like, if you look at us, we're kind of like the little house on the prairie. And then I fell into this type of relationship, and it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. Because again, I was never raised around that. I've never seen that or anything. So as far as what inspired me was when I went through it, I realized talking to other um, individuals and even men, people are in abusive relationships and they're afraid to step out and leave. They're afraid to make that move. They're afraid of retaliation. They're afraid of embarrassment and they're afraid of what others are going to think about them. So I wanted to write the book to reach out to let them know that you can get out and you can also be successful.
Outstanding, outstanding. I We're going to continue this because I know this story is deeper than that, and thank you for that because a lot of women that are in these toxic relationships they feel trapped. They can't get out, and so when and how did you find the courage to just get out of that situation?
I feel strongly with going back to my roots, being raised in a church going family. My dad taught us how to pray and I can't even remember when I was not in church. And I'm talking about 5 years old Sunday school. So I was raised from a youngin, um, prayer, faith, and God.
Hmm.
And I was always taught that my dad has taught us you are a strong black woman as long as you pray and you can do anything and put your mind to it. So thank God for that. So once I was in there, I prayed a lot. I cried a lot. I fell into a deep, dark depression.
Mm.
And something inside of me, I can't explain it, made me step out on faith. And I said, if I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to let God show me what he's all about, I'm stepping out. And I said to myself, I'm either going to step out on faith and survive, or I'm going to step out on faith and be carried by six.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Okay.
That's amazing. And you brought up something very, very uh, I think touching because a lot of women that's in that relationship they're afraid because when it gets to that situation where it gets physical and threatening, and often that person that you love and you trusted, they'll tell you if you leave me, I'll kill you. Uh, and so your faith just kind of overrode that. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is true. And it's a good point that you brought that up. Because coming from a place where I came from, when you get into a relationship and it's an abusive relationship, you get like initially a little shove and, oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And then it's like, oh, and it kind of like the first time I got a shove with some vulgar language, I looked like shocked. It was like a ton of bricks hit me. Again, I was never raised in that type of atmosphere. So I'm thinking to myself, what just went on? So when they say, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm like, oh,
Mm.
okay. Okay, so now we're good. And then the next time, the shove may be a little harder. And then the next time, a little harder. And then it escalates.
Amazing, amazing. Clayton.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, Sister, greetings, greetings. I'm Clayton Brown. As my brother has spoken, he said that I am also his biological brother as well, younger brother, as well as being his groove brother. I don't know what to say to that other than it's sad to hear when someone goes through those type of things. I'm sorry that you went through those things, uh, and I'm grateful that you're still here to tell your story because some women, and like you mentioned before, some men are not here to tell their story because it gets to the point where it's that's the end all for their life. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm sorry that you went through it. And I can also say, from what I'm seeing, that what your struggles were, it developed your strength. And I can see that from the story that you have written. And I don't know how to ask questions on that level, All I want to tell you, sister, I thank God that you are here to tell your story. I'm gonna leave it at that for now.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I'm to the point because um, I have so much to tell. And this was a scary step for me to take in reference to, putting a story out there, a true story. You're making yourself vulnerable. So
Mm.
I wrote this book 10 years ago, and I sat on it for two reasons. First, I didn't have the finances to publish it. Second, I was in fear. Again, you're vulnerable because it's my true story. So I have so much to tell, and I touched a tiny bit on this story in reference to I lost a son. That's a whole nother story.
Mm.
I also the abuse that I went through in this, and I didn't touch base on everything.
Mm.
It's very deep. I did go through counseling. That's I didn't mention that in the book. I went through counseling, and to this day, I use between church, prayer, and counseling every single day. I wake up, I open
Mm.
my eyes. It is a struggle for me to get out of bed 90% of the time. But when I wake up, I say thank you, Jesus, and
Yes.
my feet hit the floor, and I move on no matter how hard it is. I could have been crying in tears, but I wipe my face, I stick my chest out 10 toes down, and I get moving.
That's it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to toss this over to Sister Tiffany, but I can also see, and can you elaborate or touch on how does this affect your mental health, or how did it?
That's a very, very, very important point. And I tell you why. Um, a close family friend has just took a step of faith and went through the courts, the whole 9 yards on abuse. When she brought it to her significant other, he's like, I never abused you.
Wow.
She said, yeah, it's mental abuse. I went through a lot of mental abuse, and it affects you. When someone, I kind of explain it this way: if you're with someone and you're with them every day, you're learning that person. After a while, when you start getting when they start treating you as if you know bashing your intelligence or degrading your character, or even as little as don't be so stupid. It
Mm.
may sound minute to some, but I strongly believe, my faith believes, every time a negative word comes out of your mouth toward me, you're taking bits of my spirit away. You're
Mm.
bashing, you're degrading my spirit. You're breaking my spirit little by little. And then before you know it, you're like in a black hole. And that's what happened to me.
Mm.
So at one point in time, my daughter and her cousin, they had came to me, and my her little cousin said, Auntie, why don't you go to the hairdressers, go to the salon? Because it came to the point where I didn't wear any makeup, my hair was in a ponytail, I wore sweatpants, I wasn't allowed to wear jeans, wasn't allowed to wear jeans, um,
Mm.
and it was just like I looked. I found a picture about a month ago when I was in Texas. I didn't even recognize myself. I looked years older. And it does. You don't realize it, but it takes a part of your spirit. Your mentals, you
Mm.
feel that you can't stand on your own 2 feet. You can't go back to further your education if you plan to. You feel like you just can't make it without that person. Because remember,
Wow.
I'm in this relationship for 8 years. So this became my norm. So I didn't know anything else at that point but that.
Mm.
And believe it or not, once I left, I cried for a month almost every day because I missed that norm. Now, people may say, you were abused. You were beat. A gun was cocked on you.
No.
Yes. And you're crying every day because you missed that? I did. I prayed. And then after a while, I'm just a whole nother person. I can't explain it. When my nephew seen me, he says, Tia, you're not the same Tia you was before you went to Texas. And I'm not. I've grown.
Amazing. Amazing. I have a ton of more questions, but I'm gonna toss it over to let's see. Tiffany, did you ask?
No,
Please,
I have quite a few questions as well.
please
Because
continue.
I had just started kind of working on a domestic abuse project with some people, and we was talking about, you know, that yes, we know that majority of women go through this. Do you know any men that has been through this as well?
I'm
Or
glad you asked that. I'm glad you asked that question because I just went to my niece's wedding and a gentleman who I've known for over 20 years, it has been with this young lady, and she's young. And for whatever the case may be, why he dated someone that young, that's another story. But they're like about 30 years apart. And he came to me at the wedding and he opened his shirt.
Wow.
All of this was red and bleeding.
Oh
So
no.
so his girlfriend who was there apparently they got in an altercation in the bathroom. So later on, he asked me to take him home. His brother took him home. After his brother dropped him off at his mom's house, he called his brother back. I mean, the mom called her brother and said, "You got to get back here." She jumped on his back. She's been abusing him, fighting him. So this is a guy that's being abused by a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I said individuals initially, because men get abused also,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not spoken about a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly why I had brought that up because it's not spoken about a lot. But
Yes.
I do wanna pivot back to you. Um, you said that you was brought up in the two-parent household and you was brought up in church, and so was I. And I think you and I might be able to relate. We'll see here. Um, was it the fact that he was the opposite of you? Cause you know how they say opposites attract?
Mhm.
So was it the fact, was he this person that personified, like, I don't want to say like the bad boy status, but whatever it was about him attracted you to him. And so y'all began talking, and the next thing you know, you was in a relationship, and the next thing you know, for whatever reason, you stayed there. So was it something of the opposite attract? That's how y'all came together, or was it, how was that?
So what attracted me to him is this: I was raised again. I was sheltered. When I spoke to someone, I spoke this way.
Oh.
I never I never really looked in her eyes because I was shy. I never really spoke out because I was again sheltered. My mom kept us immediate family. That's it. We wasn't allowed to date until we were like 18, 19 years old. It was church and school. That's it. And we lived out 7 miles before you hit a store. We had 5 acres of ground. My grandfather had 100 acres. So it was all farmland and cornfields. So literally it was family. We never, and even partying, we never went out partying. Um, when I met him, it was like, first of all, he knew the Bible. He came from his grandfather, his grandmother, his all his 7 or 8 aunts was in the church. They were pastors. He knew the Bible. He knows the Bible inside and out. He
Mm.
also was street smart.
Mhm.
So when he spoke to me or when we talked, he would be like, come on, yo, Sharon, come on, hold your head up, hold your head up. Now speak when you talk, you gotta look people in the eyes. He had this outgoing, lively personality, but he was church, but also street.
Right.
And I just fell right in it. and I
Right.
just fell in love with him. And I'm gonna be honest, and I tell people today, I still love him. I do, but I can love you from a distance and stay alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was
Mhm.
the bubbly, outgoing. He was bad boy, but he was bad boy. He could run the street. He was also someone who, and I seen him do it. He could speak to politicians. He went to police meetings and political meetings. He held his own in an office, but he could hold his own in the street. And
Mhm.
plus, he did church. So right there, I was like, I fell in love with the man.
Wow. Right. Right. Wow. Do you think that summing that all up, he, like you said, he knew the Bible inside out. He was a church man, but he was
To
also
the
street
devil.
smart. You know, um, there are many people, and it's nothing wrong with. I grew up in the church, but there are so many people that hide behind that Bible or hide behind a religion, but behind closed doors, they are monsters. I did a show on domestic violence. We've done several shows, and I'm so glad you're here. We did another one with a survivor, and she was talking about how her and her husband started church together. He was charismatic, and so much charisma, and he could speak to anyone eloquently. Okay, he knew the Bible. What a great preacher! But behind closed doors, he was a monster. And so
Mhm.
when she finally decided to leave him, she got her own place, and went to a location she didn't think that he was going to ever be able to find her, only to wake up one morning at 2 a.m. with him standing over her head with a gun. I mean, can you picture that experience? And Sister Pitts, you touched on it just a little bit. And if you want to go a little bit deeper on that, you can. Then we're going back to Clayton and then Robert, then back to Tiffany. But those experiences you talked about when we first opened, you said there's so much more, and the story gets so much deeper. And my question to you is, when you finally got the courage to leave, did he follow you, or did he try to find you?
When I got the courage to leave, I was living in Southeast Houston, Texas.
Uh huh.
And I woke up one morning and I prayed, I said, Lord, please, if you get me back to New Jersey, I promise I will not turn around and go backwards.
Mm.
So I literally, I got I went and got the mail. It was income tax papers. I went down and I did my income tax, and the lady said, "You're eligible to get $3,000 right away." I said, "Oh, okay." I took that money and I went back home and I started packing up the car. I had a three bedroom home, 2-car garage. I shut that garage down, shut that truck in there, and I started packing that truck up.
Mm.
The morning I was to leave, he came knocking at the door, and we was arguing. So therefore, I calmed him down, and I came back to New Jersey. When I came back to New Jersey, he came back 5 times for me from Houston,
Mhm.
Texas. So when I got to Jersey, the next day I went to Lincoln University to watch my niece play basketball. On the way to Lincoln, my dad called and said, "Sharon, I just went by the house that you're renting, and I think I seen Tim on the step." I said, "No, he's in Texas." He was
Mm.
like, "No, I think it was him." So I said, "Well, call the cops," because I knew he had a gun charge and a drug charge.
Hmm.
So he called the cops. My dad said, "Yeah, they're arresting you." That was him. So
Great.
he
Hmm.
had came back, was on my step waiting.
Hmm.
Then another time he came back, and he came back 5 times. I
Wow.
want to say, grace and mercy in God. The fifth time this man came back, I said, "I'm not running anymore. If he sees me, I see him." We met, no, face to face, and my response to him was, either you or me gonna be in the ground. I'm not running anymore. I'm not going back with you, and I'm not running from you. And
Mm.
he ended up going back. with his dad and went back to Texas.
Wow. You stood up to the bully. And if you stand up to a bully, most of them will crumble. Clayton, do you find it to be true? Yeah, take your mic off mute. Okay, there you
I'm
are.
sorry. I do find that to be true because I had to stand up against bullies myself in the past. Um, and once you approach them with the same type of energy, they tend to back off. But I do have a question, and I know Robert wants to get in and ask some questions as well. The reason why I didn't ask any questions in the beginning because I wanted you to elaborate on your story. Uh, with all the things that you said that he had, he knew the Bible. He was a well-rounded type of person. He knew how to speak with people. What do you think that it was that triggered that man to want to abuse somebody else? Was it, did he have a self-esteem problem that he feel like he had to impose his will on you to make you feel belittle you? I mean, because if you got all those accolades, you should be able to feel good about yourself and lift up your significant other so both of you can walk together side by side, and not knock anybody down. I can see somebody that's struggling, maybe, or have a self esteem problem, maybe, or been abused themselves to want to hurt someone else. But what did you see in him that you thought that would make him that type of person?
The only thing that I can think that made him another person like that is the drugs and alcohol. Because other than that, I mean, I didn't have to. I've never had to open the door to the car. He took the groceries in for me, just like old-fashioned gentleman ways. And he was raised by his grandparents, so for the most part, so he has it instilled in him. And I feel that it had to be the chemicals that he was putting into his system. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, oh, wow. Well,
Uh,
I'm going to leave it to Brother Robert so he can ask his questions because I know he has some things he wants to ask of you. Go ahead, Brother Robert.
Thank you, Clayton. Thank you, Sister Sharon. When was the point where you realized, hey, I am more, and I have a lot more self worth for me to put up with all of this BS, for lack of any other better term? Um, and knowing that you are basically, we're trying to make sure that you had your self esteem raised, you had your self worth increased as well. When was that turning point, if you want to elaborate on it?
No, it's fine. I want to say once I left and was able to realize I was able to stand on my own 2 feet. Um, I want to say that because when I left, I was hesitant, but I knew for a fact that it was going to end up bad if I stayed, and it was going to be no good. And it's funny because when again, the mental is worse. When you're in a relationship like that, sometimes you're like, you know what? Let me try to. Uh, I've never done drugs in my life. I drink, yes, no street drugs. And at one point, I said, well, I wonder if I could go and try drugs and be in his world and see if that'll make it better. But I literally, and I can't explain it. Something inside of me, it just said, leave. And I prayed and I just went on that inner instinct and left. Again, once I left and I got my own place for a short time and realized that I can make it and it's not going to be easy. I started little by little gaining my self esteem. And like I would, even if it was going to the hairdressers once a month or getting my nails done once a month, I would do it because, or just shop, get one thing, one item, because it would make me feel better. And knowing that I'm working, I'm maintaining, I don't have everything that I want and need. I don't have everything that I want, but I'm maintaining. And I say want because once I came back to New Jersey, I felt I fell short again to some hard times. And my daughter and I was homeless for 2 years. We went from hotel to hotel to hotel, and I would sneak her into my job. I'd tell her to stay, stay back in the doctor's office, and then I would continue to try to work and make it happen. We stayed with relatives in the basement, and one thing I could say, no matter where I stayed, I don't care if it was the roughest hotels, I don't care if it was somebody's basement, I woke up and there's mold on my clothes. Every time I laid my head, I said, "Thank you, Jesus, for a beautiful, elaborate place to sleep, no
Mm,
matter
Yes.
what it
Yes.
looked like." Because I knew that I believe if you put it in an atmosphere, it's going to come to pass.
mhm,
Yes. Yes.
mm, mm, mm,
Life and death are in the power of the tongue.
Yes.
What you
Yeah.
speak and what people say to you
mhm.
will bring preferably life to your life and the lives of others.
Yes. Yes.
Mm,
Yes.
mm, mm. Absolutely. You know, I tell you, you mentioned something earlier, Sister Sharon, and my sister's been chiming in. She always invokes a little bit of humor, but with her, I think she's been telling the truth now. She's never been married, but she said she'd have been doing life with no possibility of parole. I believe that about her too. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's something about and how would you classify this? Uh, would you say that those who are in that situation, man or woman, thanks so much for bringing that up too, Tiffany, man or woman that's in that situation and they feel they can't get out, and when they do get out, they may consider going back or they want to go back, and many of them do go back. Would you
Mhm.
say that is similar to a Stockholm syndrome type or Stockholm syndrome? That you've been indoctrinated to the point that you've gotten used to this, and I don't know, for some strange reason you may be missing this in some strange reason or the attention. I think I'd like for you to speak on that.
I want to say yes to a certain degree. And I tell you why. Again, this is what you get used to. This is your everyday life. Um, some may think this is his way of showing love to me or her way of showing love to me. Um, or they may think, oh, I know that they're not going to leave me because, they love me so much that they will come
Mm,
to go to this degree. And I do feel that it's like a Stockholm syndrome, like you said, because again, when I left, I was lost for a good month. I didn't I didn't know, it was like I couldn't function without that other person next to me. Because one thing for sure, two things for sure, certain, if anything I needed, it was coming. He was getting it. And it wasn't like as far as like he wasn't robbing a bank or nothing like that. He would go and hustle and get it. But again, he had his down dark side also. So
Mm.
now here I am alone, and this is all me. And knowing, I'm saying my income was I was an LPN making like $40 an hour. So I was making good money, but it's mental. Once they break that down, once you lose this,
mm,
it's hard to get back. It's hard to come up to your norm again.
mm.
So I think people do miss, or individuals do miss that normalization of being abused, and it's really sad because sometimes people have to reach out and get professional help.
Absolutely. Oh, joining the set right now is our groove brother Mark Daniels. Mark, I don't know whether you saw that brief bio that I sent you earlier. I think I sent it to you as well about this uh, sister's story. I mean, and what you're saying is that after being in this relationship for so long, it becomes you rely on that person You want them to provide the answers, the support, even though you had money, you were making money, but for some reason, subconsciously, you felt like you needed to have this person uh, uh, with you. Now, another thing I want to ask, and then I'm going to toss it over to brother Mark, and then back to Tiffany, then Robert, and Clayton. Um, do you feel that he was a bit of a chameleon, like you mentioned? Boy, he was. From what I hear, he was probably book smart. He knew the Bible. He could communicate with practically anybody, you say politicians or anyone. Would you say that he was a bit of a chameleon that could fit in with just about any circumstance or any situation? How would you describe him?
I would say that he could fit into any situation. Are you asking me? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm asking you.
Yeah, he could fit into any situation. You can take him up and drop him in any type of environment, and he would fit completely in. I've taken I've taken him to parties with doctors and surgeons, and he fit right on in. And he was over there on his own, like holding the whole conversation with them. He then
Mhm.
became a dialysis tech. We went and I went to a Christmas party over in Philadelphia. The whole entire, I can say 90% of them, they hear nothing but good things. He's such a gentleman. He's so sweet. I love to see him come to work. He's very dependable. He's always helping everybody. First one to offer to help. But that other side of him it was like totally opposite.
Right, right. I met guys like that. As a matter of fact, I think about a friend of mine that's in Southern California now, and she introduced me to her boyfriend once, and he came to parties that I gave and everything. I thought he was the coolest cat in the world. I mean, this guy, he laughed, he smiled, he mingled with everybody, and um, a few months later, I get a knock on my door at 11 p.m. It was my good friend knocking on the door, and she came in. Her face was all bruised up. He tried to throw her out of the car. Somehow she escaped and came to my home. And I said, "Come on in." And I said, "I'm going to sleep on the couch. You can have my bedroom, and you're going to spend the night here." And so even her sister lived around the corner from me, but she came to my house. She didn't even want her family to know what was going on. And so these cats out here, a lot of them, like I said, or like we were talking, on a surface, they seem like some of the nicest people in the world. But behind closed doors with their person they're supposed to love, they are monsters. Mark, have you heard enough of this conversation to jump right on in and ask any question you want to the sister?
Yeah, well, first of all, good evening, everybody. Yeah, listening to this, I mean, I've heard stories of this happening with people, and to be honest, I think I want to hear a little more before I just, start asking anything. But y- this is something that I've heard of in the past, and somewhat, I'm not going to say witnessed it, but you see situations where you would think on one end of it's a perfect, ideal situation, but behind closed doors is something totally different. And I just want to hear a little more about this before I actually engage and ask a lot of questions, because this is a pretty sensitive topic, and I want to make sure that um, I'm on point when asking.
Right, right. Okay. Let's see. Sister Sharon, do you know this sister? And I hope I don't butcher her name. Is it Besaida Barrios?
Beseda,
Barrios? Is it
Beseda.
Beseda Barrios? And she had a very interesting comment. Let me read this. I believe men or women, once they know they have control, it become a mind controlling game, which becomes hard to leave. Sister Tiffany, you want to jump in on that?
Yes, with the mind control thing, before I get to that part, you had mentioned earlier that you had lost a son. Was that by miscarriage? If you don't mind me asking. Okay.
It,
Um.
no, it's okay. It wasn't by miscarriage. It was a traumatic accident at home. He was very healthy, and it
Mm.
was a traumatic accident at home.
Wow.
And they had the audacity to arrest me.
Whoa.
So, it was an
Wow.
accident at home.
Okay. I'm
Wow.
sorry about that. Um. My other question was, in this 8-year relationship that you was involved with this man, did you try to reach out for help at any point throughout the relationship? Did any of your family or friends know, or you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, some people just keep it to themselves and they paint this pretty picture. Then sometimes some people do try to reach out for help, but then they still at the same time feel stuck, like you said, with this mind control thing too. You know what I mean? Because you can reach out to people and they be like, "Girl, you need to leave. Just let me know." Blah blah blah, and you can say okay, but then still feel stuck. Was that which one was it for you?
Uh, Recalling back, I really didn't reach out. I'm gonna be honest. I kept it to myself. And again, the initially it was such a huge shock because I wasn't raised in that atmosphere, and I wasn't even taught. I can't even remember seeing shows about someone abusing a man abusing a woman. It was always a man is supposed to, supply the household and, just be a gentleman. Um, so I didn't really, and I think too, Tiffany, I think it may have been, looking back now, it could be some embarrassment at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, probably, to be honest. And then at some point, I was thinking, okay, I'm a nurse, and nurses can fix things. So my thing was, oh, you know what? I think I can fix this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So I was trying to fix it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tiff- Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Tiffany,
Mm-hmm.
you're so right. And also, Sister Sharon, was one thing. Let's see, and that thing about mind control and it becoming a mind controlling game, and so many people that grew up like you in a wholesome, happy, healthy family relationship, when they get into these relationships that are complete opposite for what they grew up in, they do feel embarrassed. They don't want the family to know uh, that that you should have known better, or you got yourself in a situation that it's not becoming. It's not becoming to what you believe and what you know and what you grew up. It is absolutely, absolutely crazy. You started off early in this conversation. I'm putting up something to Robert. I talk about help is available through the National Domestic Violence Hotline at www.thehotline.org, 800-799-SAFE. So if you're in a situation like that, make that call. Okay. They will keep you anonymous. All right. Make that call. Please make that call. Um, Something we talked about earlier, you talk about words, and Brother Robert brought this up. Words, people underestimate the power of a word. You're ugly. You're stupid. I can't believe that I married someone like you. Okay, what's wrong with you? I mean, these things they will eat at your mind. And men out there, think about it. You're in a relationship with a woman, she's always telling you, "Oh, you don't do anything right. You're stupid." I mean, that will eat at your core, believe it or not. It will eat, and when it continues, then you mention something else. It starts with a yelling, and then a little shove, okay, then a slap. Then it escalates from there. It does not get better. You want to adjust that, the power of words and how that affected you and how it started tearing down your spirit. Can you talk on that a little bit?
Sure. So again, it was, and I'm going to, because it is what it is. I'm a straight shooter. People who know me know I'm a straight shooter. So I'm just going to be straight with it. The words, they very degradable. And when I tell you that, I mean it was like, because I used to wear like the jeans and like a shirt tucked in with a belt, this, that, and the third. And it was like, you got to take those jeans off. You're showing your pussy print. I'm
Oh,
like, what? Yeah. And then it's like, no other nigga's gonna fuck you, la la. Excuse my language.
God.
And it was stuff like that. Then it's like you gotta wear sweatpants look better. You can't show all your this, that, and the third. So I started wearing sweatpants. So okay, and along my shorts got longer and longer and bigger because now I'm like, okay, well, let me just make him happy because we're a couple now. He's my significant other, and I don't want to argue. I care for this man. I cared deeply for this man. Um, so it was just like, maybe if I do this, it'll get better. It won't happen again. And then something else breaks it and it happens again. He'll start, you got to put your hair back. What do you have your hair out for? You want other niggas to see you, this, that, and the third? So then you start putting your hair back. So at that point, it's like, I got to the point. Now here I am. I would do runway modeling. So I liked, fashion, makeup, and I was in medical. And it got to the point where I'm like, I didn't even put makeup on. I'm like, no, no makeup, hair is back. And I just began to sink within me. I got sinking lower and lower. And my self-esteem really went downhill. I started gaining weight. I started eating on emotion. And I just like I pretty much didn't care anymore. As long as he was happy, not yelling at me, I could say that I really didn't care anymore.
Mhm.
So it does affect your mind. Now, some people may go in the opposite direction. I have a patient now who was in a 17-year abusive relationship, and she abused herself. She woke up, it was like she was having a seizure, and literally she's punching herself in the face, and it's
Oh, wow.
mental. She's in a institution at this time. It will they
Wow.
will it will take mental abuse will pick at your spirit and your mind little by little. And people don't realize it until you're in the situation. You look around and you're like, how did I get here? And that's how I felt when I was in Texas. I said, how did I get here?
Mm, mm, mm. You how did you get to Texas? Because you grew up in Jersey, and a lot of abusers, they like to get their victims as far away from their family and friends as possible. Is that what happened, or was that for another reason?
So I was again, I lost the house that I was in at that time. And I went to I went to apply for another home. And they turned me down because of my credit. I had the finances to pay it. And they said, no, because of your credit. At this point, I was just fed up with everything. So I said, I'm just going to go to Texas. So he was like, let's go. So that's how we got to Texas. He
Okay,
had an aunt down there and she
okay,
like welcomed us in. That's how we got there.
I got it. I got it now. And I really want to hear from Mark. Mark, we have, oh, wow, only 7 minutes to go before the show is over. Before that, I would like for you, Sister Sharon, to tell people how to get your book.
So you can go on Amazon. They have it now. They were sold out, and I believe Barnes and Noble was trying to get a stock back up also, because they were ordering from Barnes and Noble initially, and they got sold out. So right now, definitely Amazon.
Okay,
If you check in Barnes and Nobles, they should have it in the next week or so.
great, great. And when was it first released? You say you sat on it for 8 years because,
10 years.
publishing. I'm sorry, it's been 10 years now.
No, no, no. I sat on it for 10 years.
You sat on it for 10 years. And how long has it been out now?
It's just been out for maybe 2 weeks.
You said 2 weeks?
Maybe a week, 2 weeks.
And Amazon and Barnes and Noble are selling out. This is
Barnes and Noble,
incredible.
that's what I said.
Congratulations.
I couldn't believe it. Like it's
Congratulations.
crazy.
Congratulations. And
Hmm.
I'm going to assume that, like a lot of people who have bestsellers, they go and buy up a whole bunch of the books themselves, right, to make it look like they have a bestseller. I know you didn't do that.
No, I don't have the money to do that. No.
No, I didn't know
No.
whether you had the money or not, but I'm talking about your integrity. Your integrity wouldn't allow you to do that. You want to earn it on your own. Mark, hey, can you jump? You want to jump in now, brother?
Yeah, I will. Like I said, this is a really sensitive subject. I one of my best friends, and I know they're not listening, like, but I won't mention the name. But I had one of my best friends who met a great girl, and I mean, he loved her tremendously. And I guess when as the relationship grew, he had realized that she had been through a lot of abuse, and it sounds like a lot of the things that the sister was talking about. And as she started to morph into a more normal type of relationship, it was hard for her to adjust to, I guess, because she couldn't realize there was actually normalcy. And as she relaxed into the normalcy, certain things started to come out, where she actually had several breakdowns. He actually stood behind her. She had to be hospitalized because of it twice, because of mental issues. I remember at one point he said, "Man, you know what? I don't know how many more of these I can go through, but I got to hang in there." And he would tell me some of the things that she told him and some of the things that she went through. And I was like, is that humanely possible? And to make it worse, she ended up passing away in a car accident.
No.
And she had children, and one of the, I guess the father of the child tried to claim custody and et cetera, et cetera. Well, it went to court. And I guess when he had that opportunity to get on the stand and speak, he talked about all the horrific mental and physical things that this individual had done. And it was, trust me, he won custody of that child so easily. And the one thing that he said, as devastating as it was and the different things that she used to say to me, the only thing I got out of it in my mind when she passed away is he said, after a while, I had to settle in my mind and just wonder, and hope that she was finally at peace. Because when you go through those type of situations, the mental aspect of it's almost impossible for it to go away. I mean, you will question yourself for the rest of your life on certain things. Even when normalcy comes into it, you're still second guessing yourself. And I was like, why? My big question, I said, why would you say that? It's finally being at peace. He said, because through all the hell she went through, I just hope that she finally found peace through all of this in the end. And that was, it kind of blew me away at first, but in the end, I end up understanding what he said. And when, for me personally, if I was to meet a person and I see any kind of verbal or mental abuse, I'm out. I mean, I'd almost rather have a person slap me real quick because it might sting for a minute, but it goes away. But when you have somebody that belittles you mentally, and I think the mental aspect of it is because you start questioning yourself and you try to do things, you think you're doing things to try to make situations better and to appease, whoever it is that you're with. And it seems like no matter what you do, it's not good enough. That can destroy your psyche. I mean, because you'll spend the rest of your life always wondering, are you doing enough? And I don't know. I would recommend, I have daughters, and the first thing I tell them, hey, look, if you get with anybody, the first time any situation comes up where it's not the way I've treated you, you need to get out. Period. Get out, because nobody deserves that. And people that do that, whatever their issues were, they might want to get themselves checked before they even bring a person into their life. Because I feel no one deserves that. And it's amazing you were able to tell your story, to be able to come out and tell your story. Because there's so many people that keep that. And a lot of times people go into relationships not realizing they're walking into that battle zone. And that's why I call it, because it takes a whole lot to be able to withstand that and deal with that and try to understand it. Because if you're, and William, this, Clayton, you probably know it, Robert, when you come in and you're a good guy, and you're a good guy, hardworking guy, you're just trying to do the right thing, and you walk into a situation like that, a lot of us are like, hey, where the hell did this come from? Because this ain't who I am. And so how did they allow someone else to do this, and why am I getting subjected to something I had nothing to do with? When what they don't understand is a lot of times it's one of the few times that person's actually able to release a lot of what they've had bottled up inside for years.
Mm, mm. Mark, let me ask you a question. The young lady you were talking about, that wasn't the swing sister that I met at your home, matter of fact, and come to find out later she was in an abusive relationship,
No,
and we had to go to. Yeah, I got a
no,
call.
not her at all. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That was a
Yeah,
situation.
I know you're talking about, but no, that was something that was weird. That was just something totally different. But no,
Right.
this was actually a friend of mine that actually went through this.
Okay. Yeah, but this sister was going through a lot too, and she had to get a restraining order. And I got a call from a couple of brothers. I believe it was you too, Mark, says this sister's going to court today, and I can't make it. And I didn't live too far from the courthouse. And you guys, or you, I would believe it was you or T Air, which is also a group of say, can you go down and be with that sister in court? And I did.
Yeah,
I
you did.
I absolutely did. Because I thought that sister needed our support, and I was just happy to be there. But going back to something you said with that relationship, uh, and after you get out of a situation, Sister Sharon, uh, uh, like this, is it hard getting back into normalcy, like Mark was talking about, or being with someone who is normal, someone who won't abuse you? Is there an adjustment there, or do you find it difficult to get back into maybe what we would call a normal relationship? How, how would you address that?
So I decided to I I was thinking, I said either I'm going to start being interested in women, I'm just going to be honest, or
Mm.
I was going to stay single. So I decided to stay single for the first year, and then I started dating. I did meet a very, very, very um, nice gentleman, Ozra Steele, who I fell deep, deep in love with. And it hurts my heart now because we've known each other for so long, and I think it's due to, I know it's due to my past abuse, is that things happen in our relationship. We were engaged, I called it off, and then I got back with him. I was back and forth. And the thing is, you get to the point where I did anyway. The closer he got, and the closer like he wanted to make it, as one, like to get married, I think I ran and I
Ah.
got scared. So I would
Mm.
be like, no, he can't be. And he is so, so, so sweet. Um, and anything I wanted to this day, it's no, Sharon, I got it. So he's very I feel that I messed that up. So there was a point where we had some words and he called the engagement off. That's been about 3 weeks. So it's something that I have to swallow. I'll eat it because, again, I have to read our actions. There's a reaction. So
Mm.
I reevaluate my actions. Looking back, yes, it was me, but it's okay because no one's perfect. God has a perfect will.
Mm.
And yes, I messed this up, and it was probably the best man that I probably would ever be. But I have to still pray on that. I work every day at it. But yes, it can affect you big time because, again, I said that there's no way you're that nice. You're something, the real you is going to come out someday. And I think I was anticipating the worst. So, yeah. So it
Yeah.
does, it does.
It sort of make you gun shy, huh? I understand going through something so traumatic, and I can certainly understand exactly what you're going through. And we've taken you over a little bit. And what I like to do, I like to go quickly around the panel for you guys. Any last thoughts, comments, or anything you want to say, and then Sister Sharon, I want you to end it by saying whatever you like, and also again, I'm going to put up your book where let's say here it is right here, Abused but Unbreakable by Sharon Pitts. Ladies and gentlemen, go out and get one. Go out and get one. How do I get an autographed copy? Oh, I can have your phone number. I have your phone number. I'm gonna call you.
Yeah, I'm working. I'm working on. I don't know. Some people, a lot of people know her. My cousin Chandra Pitts. She has a building in Wilmington, Delaware, and I'm working on doing a book signing there. Also,
Wow.
my cousin has a restaurant in Atlanta. I'm working on doing a book signing down there.
Okay. So you have to come to Richmond, Virginia. I will definitely be at your book signing if you did that. I'm excited about your book. I'm excited about your survivorship. I'm excited about you because you're telling a story that everyone needs to hear. Either they've gone through it, been through it, or know someone that has. So the work that you are doing is so valuable, and I love you for that. Brother Robert, let's go with you, Brother Robert, and then Tiffany, Mark, and Clayton for any final words. Then we come back to just Sister Sharon. Okay.
Absolutely. Sister Sharon, thank you for being on the show, and thank you for telling your story, as it definitely touched somebody. I'm sure that anybody who's listening to the story tonight. Just maybe some final pointers is the idea of people, you don't have to stay in a place where you know you're not valued. You don't have to be in a place where you're not appreciated. If you know your self-worth, if you know who you are, you have every right to be free, to be on your own, to know who you are, get to knowing yourself. And the universe, if you're very spiritual, God will provide the comfort for you to keep going. So and Sister Sharon is an example of one who made it through. Get her book. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tiffany.
I wish we could continue the conversation, but I want to say thank you for just showing up. Showing up tonight and speaking out, honestly, because you never know what someone will hear
That's right.
when this gets replayed back. And so hopefully we can bring you back and get some more gems from you as well. So thank you.
Oh, if she would, if the Sister Sharon is willing to come back, we will. I promise you. I checked with the CEO, okay, and we will definitely have her back. No
Okay.
question about it. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Clayton.
Yes, yes.
Anything you want to say?
Absolutely. I just want to thank the sister for her courage and her testimony. And it was sad, but it was encouraging. And especially for me being a husband, anything I can get from somebody's testimony to make me a better person and watch out for those little triggers that I could say or do to harm my spouse and to be
Oh,
able to avoid those things. So, through other people, I learned
Mhm.
and to be a better person than I was just a few minutes ago. But I thank you for your courage because it takes a very powerful woman to be able to step in front of a panel and tell the depth of your story the way you did. And by that, I believe you may have saved somebody's life. Thank you, sister.
hmm,
I appreciate you.
absolutely, absolutely. Let's see, Mark.
Yes,
Any,
okay. I'm sorry, I got lost there for a minute. No,
any final comment?
yes, thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, it was amazing. There's always a lesson learned, and I try every day to be a better person, and just hearing your story, like I said, it's just amazing. I'm just happy to have been a part of this and be able to hear your story. And again, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And any of you who missed this, I would say important. Let me underline important broadcast, or you want to hear it again, or you want to share it with a friend. You can find it on our YouTube channel. It's on our YouTube channel. That's Studio W The Buzz. Studio W The Buzz. We're also on Facebook under Studio W The Buzz. It was aired tonight on Alexa, Google Play, Apple CarPlay. It will be on Spotify up in about 24 hours. It will also be on our website, and that is www.studio.w.buzz. Studio W.buzz. Sister Sharon, yes, yes. Did I miss anybody? Robert, did you have any final comments, or did I catch yours? And I think we caught Tiffany's, we caught Clayton's, we caught Mark's. If great, great, everybody's good. Sister Sharon, final thoughts, please.
The only thing I ask is to do some homework. One takeaway is that reevaluate your life. If there's anything that you are not satisfied with, say example, if you have you have a car, but it's not the car of your dreams, when you get in it, say thank you, Jesus, for my Mercedes Benz, or thank you, Jesus, for my Range Rover. Just speak it. And then speak it, and every day just speak it, put it in your mind, and watch it come to pass, no matter what it is. And you can.
Amen, amen, amen. Okay,
Right.
your sister, oh, Roseanne Matthew. Thanks, Sharon Pitts, for sharing your story. I hope it inspires other to get out of toxic relationships or situations. I wish you much success as you embark on your journey of healing, spirituality, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Much love to you, sis. Beautifully said. Thank you, Sister Rose and Matthew. I don't know. I know that name. I know that name from somewhere. Okay. So anyway, Rose, please share this with your friends. You can find it on YouTube. Like I said, it's on Facebook right now, but YouTube is Studio W The Buzz. Please share, share, share. I want the rest of our panel to please share, share, share this content. This is invaluable. You have no idea who's living in a life of misery right now because they're too in shame, too embarrassed, and even worse, scared to share their
Yes.
story with anyone. Folks, this is a subject that's been going on for a long. I mean, this is something that's been going on for a long time. You know, guys, you've heard this before. Women, you haven't heard this as much. I used to hear. I mean, we're going back years and years where guys used to joke around. Yeah, I beat my wife once a day, once a week, whether she needs it or not. The guys be chuckling. I never thought it was funny. But there's truth in that. There's truth in that. Come on, man. We're better people. We should be better people than that. And guys, if you hear somebody like that, another guy, a brother, sister, whatever, you say something like that, I'm not telling you to slap them, but slap them. Okay, okay. I'm just making a little joke there. But put them in place. Check them. Say, hey, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know what? And pay close attention, folks. There's more abuse out here than been reported. Tiffany
Mhm.
mentioned earlier about that men is underreported. And the
Mhm.
question, and I'm going to answer that question for you because men are too embarrassed to report that.
Mhm.
Okay, that macho thing. Man, I can't tell anybody about that. They're gonna laugh me out of the club, right? But guys, you can't go along because it could end up you being mentally, physically injured, or dead. Folks,
Mhm.
thank you. This has been another great episode of Groove Swing Speaks. Sister Pitts, we're going to talk, but I want to thank you in front of the world for you telling your story, sister. And we will have you back if you would do us the honors, okay?
Yes.
All right. Oh, the Carolyn Hagel. Let's put her comment up before I go.
Well, that's my sister.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank. Beautiful articulated. You exactly right, my sister. It has been throughout the broadcast. I want to thank my panel. Uh, Tiffany, Sister Tiffany, Clayton, Mark, Robert, and especially you, my sister Sharon Pitts. And have a good evening. Thank you so much. You have done, like Clayton said, you may have saved someone's life tonight. And so